What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
Let's go! Let's go!
Here we go, another big pay-per-view behind us, and we move into a fight night that initially when I looked at it, I wasn't sure, but man, this is actually going to be some really good matchups on this card. There's some good fights, possibly some good finishes, which will leave us with some spots and some things to take a look at and angles to find. How was your weekend, and how did you fare in the big pay-per-view that was?
Yeah, honestly, it was good. I wish I kind of put more on. It was kind of a favorites type card where a lot of people actually ended up coming through, whereas a little bit hesitant on putting money on. I cashed that first round submission for the first fight of the night, which is nice because, to be honest, usually the first fight of the night is the one that starts my night off not too well. But that was a good call. And then I cashed that Jalen Turner sub plus 700. I saw a lot of people tweeting about that. That was good. And then I just kind of had like a favorites parlay at the end of the night. You know, the Sean O'Malley's, obviously that fight got a void, but with Izzy, Strickland, and Volkanovski. So I said I didn't put too much on the card. It was just I felt there'd be more trap spots than there was.
Yeah, man. I mean, I really like the Jalen Turner spot. It's not that if you pick that spot or call that spot, you're and I did as well, that we're some big geniuses or anything. He's got length. Smaller guys that are going to try to wrestle or not want to stand with him are going to leave their neck exposed, and he's aggressive at taking chokes. Like, some guys don't want to go for the submission because they'd rather get the knockout win. They want to get the bonus for sure. And Turner doesn't give a fuck. He wants to win, secure the win bonus. But he just goes in there and he's got that length, he's got the size, and he's going to snatch up neck whenever he can. And you'll see this with a lot of guys that have that extra length that are willing to go into the jiu-jitsu realm. Yeah, and I think, there's a bunch of bullshit that went on with Izzy. He's in a Jones type mode now, right? Like, he main events, pay-per-views. I think he makes obviously more money than Jones did back then, but it seems unremarkable, but no one's beating him. So, I mean, it is what it is. That's his game plan. That's his style. He's not forced to go into a firefight or into a war with anybody if you're not going to push him. And if he knows he's going to win running his game plan, then, I mean, it is what it is, man. Like, there's enough guys lower on the card that you can watch knockouts for. He's a champion. He's not going to risk everything and his whole livelihood and his whole everything just because you want to see a fucking knockout.
I honestly, man.
Or because you bet knockout because and I get everybody was saying, he's going to do something different in the fight. It's like, yeah, because he's selling the fucking fight. Yeah. So if you're buying into that, go on numbers, not on what people are saying. And sometimes, yes, we have to look into interviews and see certain things about people. But when a fighter's hyping up the fight, I mean, I don't know, especially the main event, he's got to hype that up. He's got to hype up the pay-per-view, and he's going to run his game plan that he's going to run. And I thought I was okay with the finish because what I did? I was on the right side of it. Why? Because of history. Mm-hmm. If you were on the other side of it, you were pissed off about the finish, and that's it. That's what it came down to. And if you're bored by it, then I get it. I don't even like bringing up the idea of casual, whatever. For big pay-per-views, there's a lot more eyes on it. And if they don't see this big knockout, they're expecting it, even though he's not the guy that does it. He fights in actually close wars. And it happened to Jones. His wars got closer and closer as people started to figure out that distance and figure out what's going on. And obviously, we have the next fight that's going to be coming up against Pereira. Man, I can't wait for that one because I got to be honest, I'm probably going to be on the Pereira side of that one.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I've been having the same argument with people a lot this week too, where I don't want to see everybody who's long lasting in MMA sound like Chuck Liddell. That's not what we saw that in the early years of MMA. And you look at half those guys now, and no offense, half of them are fucking half brain dead because all they were trying to do is show up and go into a barn burner to sell things, and that's not the reality of it. If you're a fan of the knockouts, and obviously we all want to see spectacles and everything. But at the end of the day, Izzy was a minus 550 favorite. Would you really be happier if he was going in there and engaging in a firefight with a guy like Cannonier, where his only win condition was a knockout. Like, unless you were just betting the dog on that one, like, I don't know why you would be mad that he chose to point fight that. Like, we always talk about this, man, and we always talk about win conditions. And from a betting perspective, I'm a lot happier seeing there with Izzy at the top of my ticket, kicking his legs and point fighting. I would be scared to watch him go in there and go into a brawl because that's literally giving Jared Cannonier's win condition.
Like you know the most locky parlay I did was a two piecer, and it was Izzy by decision and Miller round 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's good.
And once I saw what I saw with Cerrone, man, just leading up to it, I was like, he's done. You know, he's probably gonna hang it up. Like he's either, I think even if he won that fight, he probably would have hung it up. So at least that's what they're even coming out.
Also, want to say that I have a fucking strong hatred towards Munoz at this point because I had a chalky submission parlay, but it had a plus 700 with Turner, and it had a plus 350, I believe, with what's her name, the girl that was in the first fight. And the only other one was fucking Munoz, who was a minus 150 to get the submission. And I was so mad. And the thing is, Uriah Hall's never been submitted. And I heard a lot of people talking about it like it's plus money or it's a minus money on a prop. You should stay away from it. I was like, nah, this is easy money. And I was actually mad to see that Jalen Turner get that because I was like, dude, the payout on that, I put $30 on it. The payout was like $700. Like, I was so mad that Munoz did not get
shits
that.
In your parlay submission corner.
I got it back. I still bet Turner submission. I was like, nah, fuck this. This is still happening. So at least I got my money back on it, but fuck, it could have been a lot better if the submission specialist had got a fucking submission. But neither way, I digress.
All I gotta say is when I tweeted it and when it came out and everything else, Jalen Turner submission was plus 800. So I'm just gonna say, I hope one of you motherfuckers like. Well, I know a couple of you that actually did message me, but I hope some more of you profited from that. So we shall move on and, digress from, some of the bullshit, the pluses and minuses of the pay-per-view, and we will jump into a fight night. Rafael Dos Anjos against Rafael Fiziev or Fiziev. This fight, the line is already starting to sort of force my hand on this one, and I was already going to go one way anyways. I think that Fiziev is a guy who I used to fade, and then I stopped fading. And one of the reasons why I had faded him was the gas tank. And I just don't know. I think that's going to be the big thing. It's going to be deep waters. And you got to know that Dos Anjos is going to, and obviously I'm jumping right into this, it's going to force a grappling exchange. Right now, let me pull up the line here. Dos Anjos plus 170 and Fiziev coming in at minus 200. And I think the line might get a little bit wider. I think that we may even get a couple more points on Dos Anjos in this one. I like him as the dog. I think he's going to grapple this situation, as I was saying. I think he's going to force the gas tank of Fiziev, stay out of the way of the power in the hands. Now, obviously, the lines like this because Dos Anjos has been knocked out in the past, but he's also fought the who's who, and I think he's seen it all, and I think he's running the right game plans now, man. I think in a 5-round fight, it favors him. I think a 3-round fight, I'm going to go with Fiziev because I think even if it goes to decision, Fiziev would have some bigger moments initially, possibly be able to win some striking moments in those 3 rounds and really do it. I think Dos Anjos pours it on in 4 and 5, potentially gets him out of there or wins the decision. And that's sort of my take on it. If you look at the lines right now, just to give you, inside the distance props, plus 400 for Dos Anjos inside the distance. And if you want to look at Fiziev getting him out of there, knocking him out, plus 240 inside the distance. I say that because there is some subs that are potential on at least one side of this. For you, what is your take on this? I just think that Dos Anjos is being disrespected because he has been knocked out in the past, and Fiziev is a striking tactician.
Like, it's more or less the line that scares me away from it. And to be honest, I don't think we'd be talking too much about RDA if he didn't just have that fight with Moicano not too long ago where he put on an absolute ass beating. Like, that's one of the worst shit kickings we've seen in a while. Now, on the Fiziev side, just the same, right? Like, that Brad Riddell win isn't looking as good as it did after Saturday night. Like, that's Brad Riddell's second time, I think, getting finished in a row. Definitely has shown some durability issues. So as much as Fiziev looked good in that fight, that's kind of what's leaning me on the RDA side as well. But I think this fight to me is a lot more straightforward than people making it out to be. I think it's Fiziev early or RDA late. Like,
Yeah.
Fiziev is going to be live in the first couple rounds. He's definitely going to be winning minutes in the first couple rounds. I think he can definitely keep RDA on his back foot and land the better shots, but it's just if that's going to be enough. So I like the under in this fight. It's sitting at plus money right now. I do have some lines that I just realized on it, but the under 4.5 is sitting at a plus 125. And like, I don't hate that because I feel like even if we go back and you watch the Bobby Green fight with Fiziev, he was getting close to getting finished in that third round. And whenever he started showing gassing issues, his durability kind of went out the drain. And we know RDA is going to be there the whole game. He's been in tons of 5-round wars, and he's never, ever slowed down. So he's a kill or be killed type of fighter. And I don't think Fiziev is the guy that's going to be doing the killing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same side of that. The breakdowns sort of match up. And I think that rounds 4 or 5 is Dos Anjos' time to either win rounds, potentially split and take one of the first 3 rounds, and then take a decision and or put him away. So that would play out to maybe rounds 4 or 5 and decision for Dos Anjos as a play, and then go Fiziev 1, 2, and 3. The lines aren't out on that yet. I like the way you play that. And I think there, as much as you want to go with parlays, I don't think this is the card to do it. I think there's so many ways to attack these fights individually. And if you just pick 1, 2, or maybe 3, don't get stupid, to really dig into, you can actually come out and make some profits. So we will move forward. We both on the Dos Anjos train. I think there's too much value there in the grappling, and the 5 rounds is just going to wear on Fiziev. So we move to Caio Barallo against Armen Petrosyan. Barallo is the most mispronounced name in MMA, but possibly one of the most talented guys up and coming right now. He touts himself as, fight IQ vet, like he's this guy, he's a professor, and he likes to wear the glasses. And well, obviously he needs to wear the glasses, but he plays this Clark Kent type role. But this man is a striking, he's a danger for you, man. He's a danger on the feet. He hits you from multiple different angles. He will hit you in close. He will hit you with some dirty box. He will grapple you, but also he does really well at just circling off the cage, and really staying out of your strength if you have some striking. And he's proven this multiple times, even with Aaron Jeffrey. He stayed out of his way. I know Aaron Jeffrey is not Armen Petrosyan on the feet. I get it. Petrosyan is a high-level kickboxer, but Barallo, he could get hit, or he could lull Petrosyan into, I think this is going to be over. I don't think that, some people might think that Barallo is going to come in and just finish Armen early. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think if it happens, it's going to be a little bit later. Petrosyan, I think he's better on the feet. I think you would agree with me on that. But I think obviously the takedowns, I think likely Barallo is going to take him down in under a round and a half, at least get into the ground. And once it's there, I don't think he lets him up. He's pretty aggressive. He will use his jiu-jitsu to keep you on the ground. It's not necessarily his wrestling that's going to keep you on the ground. He's going to use some strength, but then also leverage, say, a key lock or something to try to keep you there, and then eventually move to his positions that he needs to. So definitely an interesting matchup. I was big on the Petrosyan train, and I'm sort of actually baffled by this matchup. I thought they may keep these guys separate for a little while and then let them sort of run for a bit, but I think that Caio wins, but I'm sort of staying off this as a betting line. I think the line's sort of sitting, what's it sitting at right now? We got plus 185 for Petrosyan. Caio Barallo coming in at minus 215. The line's too wide for me. Maybe looking for a submission prop, but I just sort of stayed off it altogether. What's your thoughts?
I know I said no parlays, but if you're going to do a parlay, I think Caio is one that would be in it. Honestly, I don't really hate the line because I don't really see where Armen's going to win minutes. I think his win condition is pretty dependent on a KO, and I would have to see some sort of durability issues or something with Caio for me to even go to it. The minus 215 may be a little bit too much, but at the end of the day, Caio's got the jiu-jitsu experience. He's got decent enough hands to keep it on the feet. And at the end of the day, Armen knows that he's going to be shooting for takedowns, and it's going to be a grapple heavy approach on his part, which is where you see kickboxers and Muay Thai style fighters get put a little bit more on the back foot. Because if you look at a lot of Armen's fights, he's a pretty kick heavy fighter. So if he's going to be throwing a lot of leg kicks, a lot of body kicks, he's going to be opening himself up to those takedowns. And I just think it makes a clear path to victory. I don't think his boxing will be enough to keep Caio off him. I wouldn't advise touching this fight with anything other than the money line, though, because I think regardless which prop you go with, the possibilities are there. Kyle can ground and pound him out. He can rock him on the feet, or he can go for submission, or we can see a lot of what we saw in the Aaron Jeffries fight, where his grappling defense is actually better than we're giving him credit for. And you see a lot of clinch control and it goes to a decision. So with Arman, I said he did look very relatively good against Gregory Rodriguez, but I don't think he won that fight. I didn't agree with the split decision. I was holding an Arman ticket, so I will take it. But that fight kind of, I was with you, man. I was really on the hype train before. The head kick on the Contender Series, it looked good, but I have more faith in Kyle Sealing than I do in Arman's at this point.
Yeah, you're looking at it right, man. It's way more avenues. Kyle, he has an ability to be able to stay at the, like, you want to get somebody at the end of your punches, but he's just off of that. So even if you do touch him, it's not fully. He's circling out and you're not really hitting him, and then he's moving back in again. He'll counter you pretty nicely as well too, and then he's going to be aggressive, so he'll snatch up the neck as well too, which is my favorite thing. I love when someone's hurt, man, and you have subs, man. Take it. That way we can cash those goddamn
unless
tickets.
you're Glover Teixeira against Yuri Prochazka, because you lost that fight for yourself.
Yeah. All right. I think we have a side in this one, so I think we'll move on. We'll move to Said Nurmagomedov against De Silva de Andrade. And man, I mean, if we're looking at it with this fight, Nurmagomedov is sitting at what right now? I don't know if I have the line for that one right now. 1 second.
I'll give it to you right now. He's sitting at, I say that and my thing just froze up. He's sitting right now at a minus 220 or 255 for Said, and De La Silva is a plus 215.
Yeah, Silva de Andrade, yeah, he's plus 215. That's right. So, I mean, with this one, we're looking at a guy who has a lot more experience, but I'm still happy with Said's amount of experience. So we're seeing De Silva and Silva de Andrade, who he's fought the who's who. He's been around for some time. That's part of what's going to give him at least a little bit of a doggy edge. He does have power in his hands, the chance to maybe potentially catch Said. But Said is going to ride here. The man is just on the feet, leaps and bounds way better. I think he's going to just – I think Silva de Andrade is going to overcommit in some of his strikes and just get tagged right the fuck up. And, you know, I'm even looking at some props on this one. I think this is a perfect play to see a snatch and grab on a neck or because he just recently did it. He's willing to do it. When someone's willing to do that and they see it, I'm willing to sprinkle on something like that. So I think inside the distance is a nice play for Said as well too. The line, like you were saying, is minus 255. If you look at De Andrade inside the distance, if he gets a sub and or a KO, it's plus 400. Nurmagomedov by sub is plus 325. I like that line right there. I know I'm getting a little bit aggressive with it, but I think he's just gonna snatch and grab that shit, take it, and we gonna cash him.
Yeah, this fight's kind of a stay away from me. I haven't seen enough from Said to justify paying this type of price tag on it. And if anybody learned from Douglas De La Silva, this is one like I will forever be mad about because his last fight was on the Brunson card. Either way, the last card that Derek Brunson was on, and is when he fought Sergey Mozov. And I was heavy on the De La Silva side. And then this is one of the reasons why I stopped paying so much attention to other podcasts. Because everything I saw was like Sergey's going to gas out and De La Silva's going to catch him. And then I was flying to Cuba the next day, locked myself in a $100 parlay. And the only thing that I lost was De La Silva getting that KO because I put my money on Sergey. So the point of all this is you can never count this guy out. This guy's got power in all of his hands. He took an absolute shit kicking in the first round of that fight and was still able to keep going. So if Said has any sort of durability issues that we haven't seen, there's a good chance this is the style of fight that they're going to get exposed in. So for me, it's a stay away. I'll be with you. I'll side with Said. But the only play I'd probably have on this fight personally would just be like a sprinkle at the plus 500 for De La Silva. Maybe even like third round or something like that. Because Said's going to ride out for the majority of this fight.
Yeah, it's definitely, if you're digging in on it, you're going to go proppy. There's not really too much value in anything else. So. All right, next fight on the card, we have Jared Vanderaa against Chase Sherman. I'll say it again. Next fight on the card, we have Jared Vanderaa against Chase Sherman.
Yeah.
Am I boring you right now? I mean, this isn't going to be boring. It's going to be sloppy, and someone's going to go to sleep likely pretty early. We have a heavyweight tilt with Chase Sherman, who I don't even know how he's still doing it. He's got to know where the bodies are buried. He's got to have pictures. He's been on Epstein's Island. Something's going on. But we got 15-10 Chase Sherman against, I say it again, Jared Vanderaa, 12-8-0. And for me, I mean, I could say Jared Vanderaa should beat Chase Sherman. I could try to do a breakdown. I didn't watch any tape on this because I just think you should stay away from it. If you want to say fight doesn't go the distance, great. Vanderaa likely should beat Sherman because I'm thinking he's just collecting money right now. But at the same time, it just doesn't matter. I don't think you put anything in on this one. I think you walk away from it. And that's it, man. Go grab a pop, get back in time before the first round, and then watch the KO, whoever on what side. So I'm gonna stay off it and not even spend any more gas on it. What do you got?
Yeah, it's nothing I would put my money on, man. As I said, there's a hard passing where I don't bet chalky women's MMA and I don't bet overweight heavyweights. And that's all you're getting this, man. Chase Sherman hasn't looked good since he popped for steroids. Jared Vanderaa never looked good. The only thing I was looking at, I saw somebody tweet out that Jared's a black belt and Chase has no ground game. But the sub props plus 550.
He hasn't subbed anybody in a while, though. I looked at that, man. It's like I don't think anyway. You can check that.
And it's
again,
only plus 550, man. Like this, like if it was like plus like 1300 or something, like massive.
These are the fights that you maybe just miss on.
Yeah.
And you maybe win on your big spot that you're happy with, but then you put money into this and you lose money on it, and this is why you didn't walk away with any money at the end of the night. Stay away from it, stay off it. If you bet on it, it's on your own fucking accord. So next fight on the card, we have Michael Johnson against Jamie Mullarkey, and Jamie Mullarkey's a guy who I used to ride because of the pressure. The guy who's just going to be there with some wrestling, grappling, dirty boxing. He's going to tag you and just outwork you and outwill you and outbreak you. But that chin, when you run that game, is going to eventually be susceptible, and he's going to get caught. And, with a guy like Michael Johnson coming off a big win, I know that a lot of people are like, stay off this fight, Michael Johnson this, Michael Johnson that. But I'm into recency bias with that. I'm sorry. If the guy is just coming off a KO win, and at the same time, he is going to be believing himself, believing his own shit right at this point, then, man, jump on that train. Why wouldn't you jump on that train? Jamie Mullarkey's coming off his loss to Jalen Turner, and everybody's just sort of downplaying it because it's Jalen Turner. But he still got knocked out by a left hook, right? A right hook. So, I mean, the reality of the fact is why would you not want to jump on a little bit of Michael Johnson? I don't see any reason why not to. I'm in on Michael Johnson with this fight. I think that he's going to hit him and hit him hard. He came out, like everybody talks so much shit about the guy about being back and forth. And last fight, he came out and everything was with intent. He landed and he was trying to knock him the fuck out. So I just think that it's an easy pick. The fact that Michael Johnson's the dog right now is a little bit crazy. He's plus 200 against the minus 240 of Jamie Mullarkey favorite. Chalk. I'm just going to go Michael Johnson all day on this one. You can tell my energy shifted on it because I just think that it's a spot. And I think it's dumb not to. It doesn't mean that you overinvest, but I think it's an opportunity to clean up some money. Michael Johnson finishes Jamie Mullarkey inside the distance. KO.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at it, Michael Johnson KO is plus 325. Mullarkey decision, if that's what you think is going to happen, is plus 240.
Yeah, see, I gotta be on the other end of this one, man. The thing with Jamie Mullarkey is I will say I do get nervous betting on a guy who just got KO'd so recently. But like if you look at his last couple of fights, man, like Devontae Smith is a decent guy. Karma Worthy, still not bad. Like, and Jalen Turner, I mean, we saw what this guy's capable of. And even past that, man, they're fighting for ASEAN. The thing with Michael Johnson is, although he looked like a world beater in his last fight, he still got rocked, and he got rocked by Alan Patrick. And it's worrisome for me, man. Like, he's worrisome. He lost to Clay Guida, he lost to Thiago Moises, Stevie Ray, Josh Emmett. I'll give him his credit; he was winning that fight. But prior to that, man, his last win was over the GOAT in Artem Lobov. So I'm on the Mullarkey side. I'm not going to bet the money line on this one. I like violence in the spot. I think the minus 200 on fight doesn't go the distance is a parlay piece, or if you like betting that high, is a straight bet for you. But I think at the end of the day, Mullarkey's going to clip him early. And if he doesn't, Johnson will clip him late. So
yeah, and it's like I said, man, it's really, for me, it's just simple. The lines are so
value.
wide.
Yeah.
And you have a guy who's fought who's who. Yeah, he's lost to some, he's beat some, he's shown poor fight IQ and dragged things into waters he shouldn't have, and they're just finishing guys earlier. But when you have him coming off of a KO win, we shouldn't put so much into it. But when you're gonna give me that much meat in the bone, I'm gonna fucking eat it. So that's just sort of my angle, but I fully see your side. You're just playing more of a safer side of it. But I'm still with Malarkey. I do like the guy, but I think that Johnson's going to do it, man. I think he's going to put him out. Okay, next fight on the card, we have Cynthia Calvillo against Nina Nunes. I don't want to spend too long on this one, at least for myself. But, I mean, there's sort of a clear path here. I think that Cynthia Calvillo she hasn't been able to take anybody down. And I think that if she kept committing to try and take people down and actually work some trips, some inside trips, get some stuff up in the cage, work some chain wrestling and get things going, if she invested in that to get her grappling going and just get wins by sub, and even maybe eventually some ground and pound, work on that first, she would have a lot more success in the UFC. She wants to fight and strike and bang. And then you have Nina Nunes coming in, who really, I mean, has some decent takedown defense, but has some decent stand-up. And if she even just sort of shucks off Calvillo at least once or twice, all that's going to do is just deter Calvillo from going to grappling. And she's going to just run her back into, I'm a striker. If she gets Calvillo into, I'm a striker, it's over. Calvillo is going to lose. That's my take on it. I think Nina Nunes is going to win with this one. I think Calvillo is not going to be able to get it to the ground right away. She's not going to be able to just become leaps and bounds as better wrestler and Greco-Roman wrestler to be able to get this where it needs to be. So I just think Nina Nunes is going to win, but I'm staying off it, staying away from it, because it's just too sketchy for me. We have Nunes coming in at plus 130, so I'm with the dog, obviously, against Calvillo, who's minus 150. She just shown poor fight IQ time and time again. And what do we fade on the podcast?
Or fucking fight IQ, man.
Yes, sir. So I'll pass it off to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the same side, man. Cynthia really hasn't won a fight in a very long time. And honestly, like, strength of schedule is still on the Nina Nunes side as well. You know, Mackenzie Dern, Tatiana Suarez, she has very good takedown defense in herself. And once again, man, like, you play to people's win conditions, and that Andrea Lee fight, man, like, Cynthia took a really bad beating. And it's one of those career-changing type beatings. Like, she was on the stool, man, and she did not want to be there anymore, right? She got KO'd by Jessica Andrade. I think her last win was Jessica I, man. And then prior to that was Courtney Casey. You know what I mean? Like, she's not beating or even facing, or she's facing the higher level competition per se, but she's not coming close to beating any of them. So I like Nina in the spot, man. You know, we all know Nina's married to Amanda, and I gotta figure she's getting the better training in.
Yeah, imagine her running takedown defense with her.
That's what I mean.
All the time,
That's
right?
what I mean. Like, I'm surprised you're getting plus money. Like, I think this fight would probably be lying to pick up, or even reverse with Nina being the slight favorite. So I'm kind of surprised you're getting plus money on the other side. So I say take it.
Do you think? I know maybe I've been sort of burnt or scorned over the past little while. Do you think maybe this is a spot that you just go Nina by decision and really actually make that sort of a pick? And then if you get burnt by it, Calvillo just proves you wrong, and so what? Because she's come out and done the wrong thing 3 times in a row, I think. So
yeah, like, it's sitting at, I think, plus 220. I just had it pulled up here.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe that is a play. I mean, maybe we'll tweet it out. I mean, I want to stay off it, but
it's kind of actually
Calvillo just when you show so much poor fight IQ, it actually may be a thing to fake.
Yeah, and then that's it, right? And then once again, like, Cynthia's win conditions, in my opinion, are fairly limited. And if it stays standing, she's gonna get beat up. And we haven't seen her have any success with takedowns in quite some time. So, but as you said, man, no, it's women's MMA, man. I fucking digress. I stay away.
So there might be an angle there, though, man. But next fight on the card, we have Ayman Zahabi against Ricky Turcios. I know that a lot of people are really on the Ricky Turcios side of this, and I think that volume really does speak volumes. But with him, I think he's throwing and landing about 7 strikes per minute, and then he's absorbing about 4.5 per minute. But when he does get hit, it looks bad to the judges. That's the first thing. Next thing, he does leave himself exposed quite a bit. He almost looks like a poor man's Max Holloway. And for me, with Ayman Zahabi, once again, this is sort of a momentum thing. When you're going to give me some plus money, and what are we sitting at currently right now? Zahabi's sitting at plus 160, minus 190 on the newly, the new guy in the UFC, Ricky Tercios. I mean, he comes off that win off Brady Highstand, who's more of a jiu-jitsu guy, and that's great. Good win, sure, but I mean, I'm not overly impressed by this guy yet. I know he has the volume. I know he showed some defense there, but he didn't really fight someone who I know Ayman doesn't have, and everybody's all over Zahabi right now about his volume, but he does land, and I know that he defensively still, like, I think he's absorbing about 4 strikes per minute, and then he's landing about 3 to 3.5 per minute. So that's not quite where it needs to be. But when you give me plus money once again and then give me some plus money on a KO, Zahabi right now is plus 450, and he's coming off a KO. And then we have a guy who's, a lot of people are putting in a lot more into him. He's brand new in the UFC, and he's hittable. So I don't know. I'm going to touch it up. I'm going to go Zahabi on this one. I know a lot of people are on the other side of this, and I know you might be on the other side of this, and I'm cool with that. But I'm going to go O Canada. Zahabi wins inside the distance, or even look at the KO prop at plus 450.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily on the other side of it, but I think this is, once again, there's a lot of fights on this card where I see it's 2 guys have 2 different win conditions, right?
Yeah.
So
decision finish.
Yeah, this is essentially what it comes down to. If you look at our Canadian boy there, all of his fights that he's won have pretty much come in the first round, and the fights that he's lost have been decision. So as I said, the writing's on the wall for this one, man. If you can get one of these fight ends in KO or decision props, even if it's minus 500, it's probably worth a hammering parlay piece. Because I said, the longer the fight goes, I figure it does favor Ricky. But both these guys are relatively unproven. Both these guys aren't fighting a high level of competition. And I've heard a lot of people be like, oh, well, he only KO Draco or whatever the guy's name is. But who is Ricky Tercio beat? You know what I mean? So as I said, level of competition is low. Both guys have a path to victory. So, but I say if you're saying you're getting plus 500 on the KO prop, I would take it.
Yeah,
I would even take probably first round.
And KO. he's coming off of a KO, right? So I mean, I get that he has lower volume, but obviously, and the thing too is you also bet on the camp, right? Zahabi's master of a game plan. So I don't know, man. I mean, his brother, obviously. Next fight in the card, we have Antonina Shevchenko, still around. I thought she had retired. Guess not. Against Courtney Casey. 10-9 probably, maybe at this point, should retire. Antonina coming off of a submission win that we didn't see coming. The girl gets taken down at will, and Courtney Casey seems to struggle to take people down, but where she gets them down, she can submit people. Her winning condition is submission. If you're going to touch this fight, I'm staying fully off it. This is the 1-800-GAMBLER. Shout out to Uncle Weezy. But I think that the only way to touch this is a prop. You can look at a submission. We have the actual line on the card is minus 175 for Shevchenko against Casey, who's at plus 145. If you want to make the asshole bet is Casey by sub at plus 600. So jump on it if you want. Otherwise, I'm done talking about it.
Yeah, if you look at Shevchenko, if she's losing, it's on the ground. If you look at Courtney Casey, if she's losing, it's on the ground. So I don't know, man. As I said, I don't really fuck with women's MMA anymore. Shevchenko to me is the right full favorite. And honestly, I could even see her coming in and shooting for takedowns. But this fight's probably going
to happen, man. I'm tapping. Like I said, I'm not overly invested in it. It's just Casey is a grappler. Although she loses on the ground, that's what she's going to do. And Shevchenko's not very good on the ground at all. She's a striker. So that's why I was sort of looking at that. I'm just trying to dig and find spots on each one, but it is a stay away for me for the most part.
This ain't the one.
As is the next one. This is mostly a stay away for me as well too. We got Cody Brundage 7-2-0 against Trayshawn Gore 3-1-0. Should be headlining BFL at this point. I don't think he should be, 3-1-0, right? You got to be like a Pereira or a Pereira to be in the UFC with 3-1-0 record. But anyways, Trayshawn Gore came out and he looked hesitant in his debut, right? He looked like he just couldn't pull the trigger the whole way through the fight. Does have the power in his hands, is a world beater, and a lot of people are calling him to come out in this fight. This is going to be his coming out party. I think with this fight, with Trayshawn Gore and Cody Brundage, I'm really going to stay off this one. I think this is a fight that if you think you have a hot take on, you can maybe go with a Gore KO, but I'm just staying away from it altogether. I don't really have a hot take at all. I'll sit and watch and see if Gore shows me something new. Brundage, I've never really been fully impressed with. I don't think he's level of the UFC at this point. So what's your take with this one?
Yeah, to be honest, man, like I actually like Cody Brundage a lot in the spot. I understand you being a little bit on the stay away thing. I think we saw a lot from Brundage in the Dalcha fight. He got rocked really hard, and he was still able to keep his wrestling going and able to get the submission, even finish him. Dalcha's a judo black belt, and even before he had Cody rocked, he gave up a takedown as well. So I think that kind of shows the level of grappling Cody can show. He had that fight with Nick Maximov where they were both landing takedowns on each other, but stayed competitive all the way through. With Trayson Gore, like with that Brian Battle fight, man, like he threw like 7 punches in the first round. I'm probably under exaggerating, but it's a very, very slow fight. And I think if you have a guy like Brundage who is going to be able to push that pace and keep him on his back foot, it's going to force him to try and get into a firefight. And I think that's just going to open up the takedowns more. Because if you watch any of Brundage's fight, he's kind of like the Clay Guida-esque style. Like he doesn't slow down. He'll be shooting, and if he's not shooting, he'll be throwing punches. So I think it's just going to kind of throw off Trayson Gore. The guy's only 4-1, doesn't have a crazy amount of experience. So I think this is something that's probably just going to be a dog or pass. And as I said, I think I'll probably put a bet on Cody myself.
All right. Sounds good. I think, yeah, you got a good breakdown on that one. I don't know where the folly was on that, but next fight on the card, Kennedy Njoku against Carl Roberson. Carl Roberson is a guy who, I mean, if you had backed him in the past, is disappointed in the past. Striking should be a lot better than it is. The man you figured would come along and figure his way through, but has not. His record is obviously showing. Right now, he is the dog, but not by too much. He's only a plus 105 against Kennedy, who's coming in at minus 125. I think this fight, I like the fight doesn't go the distance at minus 163. I think both guys have been finished quite a bit. I know that Kennedy's win condition is not submissions, and Roberson's one of his loss conditions is subs. So that's sort of off the table, but maybe not. I mean, who knows? Anybody can grab a neck. But that being said, I think this fight doesn't go to decision. Minus 163 is a good play. I like Kennedy KO plus 250, and even Kennedy round one plus 600. I'm just not on the Roberson side on this one. It's more of I'm thinking about staying away completely, but I think that Kennedy is just going to be, with the 9-inch reach advantage. I can't dismiss that. I can't. And both guys are going to want to stand and strike. I think although Kennedy is shown that he can get tagged and rocked, I think that Kennedy rides on Carl here and knocks him out. Plus 600, why not?
Kennedy KO is plus 600?
Round one.
Okay. Yeah, dude, I'm on the same side, man. Because Carl Robinson, one, he's moving up and wait for this. Or I think he moved up and wait for his last fight where he fought Roundtree. And
did that go well? I can't remember. Did that go well?
No, not at all.
So. I don't think it went well at all.
It went very poorly for our buddy there. And yeah, with Njoku, in his last fight, I know he lost a split decision, but he lost what should have been a draw because of the point deduction, because of the low blows. He wholeheartedly won that fight. It's just there was a couple of things that happened that led to be a point deduction. So it should have been scored a draw. But I do side with him heavily in this fight, man, because with Carl Robinson, man, the guy's the type of guy that gives up, and you can't bet on guys that don't have that type of give in them where they're going to fight for your money. We say it all the time. And with Kennedy, he's going to throw bombs. How many punches did he take from who's that guy? He just had a KO 2 weeks ago, Aussie guy. He's
Alberg.
Alberg, yeah. How many punches did he take from Alberg and came back in the third and KO'd him?
Yep.
So I think the line, I'm surprised it is where it was. I'm pretty sure Kennedy's the favorite now. The last time I checked, they're like a minus 113 on FanDuel. So
I think
I'm
that
Kennedy all day,
is going to be too much, and Roberson's going to leave himself wide open. And I think that round one is available, or even get maybe Kennedy when the line comes out for round 1 and 2. But next fight in the card, we have what could be a fight that could be main event on the prelims, anyways, of this card, really. But they're starting off with Ronnie Lawrence against Sadyokub Kakramanov. And, you know, Ronnie Lawrence is a guy that you want to back in this, man. But, I mean, coming in, he's minus 135, plus 115 for Kakramanov. So the line's not too bad if you're on the Lawrence side. And really, his smothering style, he's still active in it with his hands when he's got you on the ground and he's working side control and doing what he's doing. But, man, I'm leaning. I've been leading in watching tape, and I'm leaning more on Sadyokub Kakramanov on this fight. I think that he's going to be not only aggressive with his hands, but then also aggressive with any subs that come along the way. And I think that it's there. So I'm still a little bit torn because it's Ronnie Lawrence. And I think he's a guy who he's just so dominant with his approach, but he's also hittable. And, you know, I don't know, man. What are your sort of thoughts on this? We got plus 135, or sorry, plus 115, like I said, for Kakramanov, minus 135 for Ronnie Lawrence. Lawrence decision is plus 150. Romanov inside the distance is plus 260. And then I even like the sub potential there as well, too. I don't have the line on that one, but how are you looking at this one? I think I'm probably going to go with the Kakramanov side on this one. I think that there's some avenues there, and I like it.
Yeah, man. So if you look at Ronnie Lawrence, right, and you look on takedowns average per 15 minutes, he is shooting on average 9.15 takedowns, man. He's got a 78% accuracy with the takedown. He's got a 100% takedown defense. I think it's just going to be too much, man. Even if you look at him, man, he lands more strikes per minute than Rakhmonov.
And a lot of that's in like top control and up against the cage. Like he is very busy, and you're right. That's why I'm not going to hate the decision one. And sorry to cut you off. Ronnie Lawrence by decision really is probably the likelihood here. So I am sort of with you on that.
Yeah, like I think Ronnie Lawrence is just gonna be the better side in this one. And once again, I've said all throughout this podcast, another one of these win condition fights where it's going to be the Ronnie Lawrence decision or probably Rakhmonov KO if he ends up being able to slip up from the takedowns and kind of, you know, if Lawrence gives him the opportunity, you know he's going to take it. He had that KO win over Trevin Jones that was pretty devastating, and he took that fight on short notice. So, you know, there's no counting this guy out. But I think Ronnie Lawrence will just be the smarter fighter, be able to keep it grounded, and probably ride himself to a 30-27 decision.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not hating that idea. I know that's one of the more likely outcomes as far as breaking it down. I just think that I think Kakramanov could actually come out with inside the distance here, man. I think he could either sub him or even possibly catch him and put him out. I'm just trying to look to when was the last time Lawrence lost? It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a very long time. 2016. Yeah, he's just been dominant and learned from his loss against Garcia. Has he lost since then? No. Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of thinking you're more on the side of the victor with that one, but I sort of like maybe I'm just leaning into the sub prop maybe a little bit too much there, but I think either or. I think the only problem is where this poses a problem for people is Ronnie Lawrence starting the top ticket, Ronnie Lawrence being a guy that everybody's so sure of, and Ronnie Lawrence having you to re-up everything when the second fight starts. You know, it could happen. And the first fight of the night, Lawrence gets finished, your parlays get all blown up. I could see it. So if you're going to attack this fight, I would say just go Ronnie Lawrence decision by itself. Call it a day. I think that's the smartest way to play it. Don't parlay him.
In the last 3 fight cards, all 3 dogs have won in the opening fight. Yeah. So maybe that trend's going to continue.
Yeah. And then you're chasing and leaves you play just dumb. So, I mean, I think if you can get off with a win, that's the most likelihood win condition, then go with your decision, Lawrence, and then sprinkle maybe a Kakramanov inside the distance. But I mean, still attack this by itself. I don't think parlay it. You may think differently, but I just think that would be the best way to do it. Just from how things have been, it's bad juju for the first fight. So
yeah, and honestly, it's too low for me. One thing I've learned over the fact that UFC's put out so many cards is that whenever you get cards like this, where there is a lot of spots where it can go either way, pick your 2 or 3 spots, either parlay them or put out a couple straight bets, and just accept the fact that not every card needs to be overly profitable. Like, this is one of those cards where I feel like you're going to be reaching for spots. And if you invest too much money into it, you're just going to lose your money. Like, there's a reason why some of these lines are too wide. Some of them are too close. And most of them, the variables are really high on either end. So pick your 2 or 3 spots you like. and just realize that the next 4 weeks have much better cards and much better betting opportunities than this one. This is just a layover from the big pay-per-view that they put on just for shits and giggles. They know half these people aren't going to be watching it.
And on that note, I think, some of my better spots that I really like Zahabi coming in here at plus 160 money line. I think that by itself is a play. I think the KO at plus 450. I mean, come on. He just, he's coming off his hands working for him last fight. His brother's in his corner. I'll take that all day long against Tercios, who I'm not sold on. And, we're more sold on him being this hippie guy who peace, love, and happiness. But, Lost Boys this. Jamie Malarkey, I mean, I get your side of it completely because I've been on that side many times. For me, I like the Michael Johnson KO at plus 325, but even him money line at plus 200. But his win condition really likely would just be plus 325. But I don't see him winning a decision just because if Malarkey makes it all the way through 3 rounds, it's likely because he's just been smothering the shit out of Johnson and really didn't get tagged too much. So I like the Johnson plus 325. Nurmagomedov, I like him sub, man, plus 325. That's another one I was looking at. But I mean, from there, those are just ones that are decent ones. I'm really liking Dos Anjos, though, as possibly one of my strongest plays, which I know is a main event. But Dos Anjos inside the distance at plus 400, or if you can get him later on at 4 or 5 or by decision, I think that's just one of the strongest plays on the card. And it's very rare that I would say that for a main event, but I'm really going to stick with it on that one. I think Dos Anjos is one of the guys to ride with. But what are some of your stronger plays? And we'll cap it off that.
I'll be honest, there's only 3 fights on this card where I'm relatively confident in, and one of them kind of goes against what we just said. But Ronnie Lawrence is probably on the higher end of me. Kennedy and I'm not even going to say his last name. Kennedy, minus 125. That line's getting steamed a little bit. So if you're going to bet Kennedy, I bet it soon. The line is definitely increasing. And CO. So those are really only the 3 money line plays I like the best. I really like Fight Doesn't Go the Distance with RDA and Raphael. It's sitting at plus money right now.
Yep.
I really feel like that's gonna.
What's it at? Plus what?
Plus 125.
You know what? That's possibly one of the safest spots, I think, in the card. I can't see this decision, man.
No, neither can I, right? With Douglas De La Silva, I like the KO prop at like plus 400, but once again, like it's a sprinkle. I think the line's way too wide. Do not touch Jared Mandana or Chase Sherman. If you do, I will personally call the police on you. Jamie Malarkey, Michael Johnson.
Nunes by decision over Calvillo, I think, is actually one of the sharper spots, even though it's something that we would normally say stay away from. But as always, we like to watch tape. We enjoy doing it. We hope we line your pockets as we line ours. As always, don't tap Nick Eagle-Eye, Callum McGregor. And if you don't like us,
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
Let's go! Let's go!